Hey everyone, what's going on? Jeff here, and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about Overwatch 2. The PvP beta dropped this week. I had to get the beta key through the drops on Twitch, so I watched 4 hours of that, got my beta key right away. And I just wanted to talk about the reworks, talk about the 5v5 a little bit. This video will be timestamped if you're interested in a certain hero that they redone or did new abilities for. Be sure to check those timestamps in the video. But anyways, let's get started. First, I just want to talk about the general 5v5 in the Overwatch 2 beta. It's going to take some getting used to, in my opinion. It is definitely a new dynamic for me, at least, because I'm so used to, I really liked that the first Overwatch, the 2v2v2, or not 2v2v2, but 2 tank, 2 support, 2 damage. But that was so a 6v6. Now it's 5v5, so you get 2 support, 2 damage, 1 tank. So you're not going to always have 1 shield tank, which is something I've always liked to do because I used to main Rinehardt, or I kind of still do, just to have that shield there for your teammates. But that is something that just doesn't really exist anymore because Doomfist is actually a tank now instead of damage as well. So people are playing different things, trying out new things, especially since tanks, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tanks that were reworked for Overwatch 2. And who knows, they might tweak more after the first beta closes, depending on everyone's reviews. And they might go ahead and rework some more heroes for the next beta, which I heard they're going to be doing console with future betas as well, so be sure to keep an eye out for that. But yeah, 5v5, it's going to be taking some getting used to. I like the new UI, where I don't think it was on the first Overwatch, now that I think about it, because I was just playing it a week ago, but I have such a bad memory. But on the first Overwatch, if you go to look at your recap during the game, it only shows your stats, I believe. On the new UI for the user interface for Overwatch 2, if you do that and check, it'll show you the whole scoreboard now. It'll show you how much damage everyone's doing, how much healing the healers are doing, or even healing if you're not a support character like not Cassidy, but a soldier can do his healing, so it'll show that as well. So it kind of shows who's pulling their own weight, which I kind of like, because I've had matches where people are like, oh, I have gold this, I have gold that, and I'm sitting there like, wait a minute, I have gold that, so how do you have gold that? Just to try to make it seem like they're doing everything, even though they're not really. So I do like that idea, how you can kind of see where people stand on the team. If someone needs to change their character, you can probably let them know, hey, can you play something else, because it looks like you're not doing as great as you can in that area. So kind of interesting. Definitely puts a new dynamic into the game, like I said before. So the 5v5 will take some getting used to. So let's jump into the hero reworks. Support, I'm mainly support. I used to play Mercy all the time. Started doing Lucio a lot. But for support, there's only one rework, and that was Brigitte, and it's very small. Her shield, when you used to use it and bash people, it would stun them. For Brigitte now, you will just knock the enemy back. That's all it pretty much does, and it does damage while knocking them back. Not a whole lot with Brigitte. I think I'm gonna start using her a little bit more though, because I played 1 game as her. Did pretty decent, so gonna probably try to play more characters. That's what I'm trying to do during this beta as well. Test out things that you normally wouldn't play, because it's just unranked matches. That's what I've been trying to tell people, is just play whatever you want to play, test out new things and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm going to try out more Brigitte, and probably try out some more characters I'm not usually playing or don't usually main in Overwatch. Now, damage, it's interesting because I don't normally play damage. I want to, but the thing is, everybody wants to play damage. It feels like nobody wants to really do support, and damage actually takes a while to get into the game, and I'm just somebody that wants to get into the match. But the thing is, now with the new 5v5 dynamic, I don't know if it's because of it also being in beta and there's limited players right now, there is like 10 minutes to get into a tank match, 10 minutes to get into a tank roll, 10 minutes to get into a tank or damage roll. So that's definitely something that's going to take getting used to. Hopefully doesn't last like that when the beta opens up to more people or the game Overwatch 2 finally does come out. Which, if you didn't know, the PvP part will be free if you already own Overwatch 1. It's mainly you're going to be paying for the PvE, which is something I'm really looking forward to as well. But for damage, you got Cassidy. Cassidy, not a huge change. With him, you no longer get his flashbang stun ability. The flashbangs are completely gone. Instead, you get this magnetic grenade. It's a short range grenade that will home into nearby enemies depending on where you throw it with your crosshair. So you gotta be fairly close to where you throw the grenade in range of the enemies, and it'll basically stick to them and blow up. Otherwise, if you miss, it'll just blow up on the ground or whatever nearby. It'll still do some damage, but obviously it won't do as much damage as when you stick them directly with the grenade. And there's going to be a weird cut here because I forgot to mention May. Even though I put it in my notes, I just forgot to read over that part. But May, kind of a big deal in my opinion, because there's always been those memes about May, like if May walls you in, you start screaming and stuff because you're like, uh-oh, you're going to be frozen, and then she's going to start pelleting you with those icicles. Well, now May's gun no longer freezes you when shooting at you. It does damage, and then you can compare it with the icicles to try to kill your enemies. And you can still use your wall and stuff, but May no longer freezes you with her ice gun. She now can only freeze you with her ultimate, which is still the same. That blizzard event, that's the only thing that'll freeze you, but May no longer freezes you with the ice gun. So it's going to be interesting to see how May mains work around that, and if they still enjoy using May after not being able to freeze everybody that they get near. So very interesting to see how that works out. Now you have Sombra, something I played a little bit as in the beta as well, because I'm trying to test out new heroes. Like I said, her hack ability disrupts abilities for a shorter period of time. It will also expose hacked enemies locations to Sombra and the rest of your team. So I believe that means you can see them through walls and stuff. I think that's what that means. I haven't really paid attention when I had a Sombra on my team when she uses her hack. Something I'm gonna have to pay attention to more in the future. And hacked enemies will also take more damage from Sombra herself. I tested this out in the training area, which is most of where these clips are coming from, because it was just easier instead of waiting 10 minutes per match to get into each of these roles. But it takes about 20-25 bullets if you shoot somebody while they're hacked, or the training bots at least. And then if they're not hacked, it takes over 30, I believe. And then her EMP, this ultimate, will now deal 40% more damage to enemies caught in the radius, and disrupt the barriers like Winston's protective energy dome. Bastion was a pretty big deal for damage. He no longer can self-repair himself, so now he definitely needs to rely on those heals. And I remember the good pairing used to be use Orisa in her shield, which we're going to talk about Orisa in a little bit, and Bastion would just sit behind the shield and shoot everyone. Well, he doesn't go into that little form anymore, and Orisa no longer has her shield to throw down. So Bastion has a ability that has a cooldown. You can go into the tank every like 12 seconds or something like that. And he also has a new alt attack, which is a tactical grenade that bounces off walls and explodes when it hits the ground, or you can impact enemies, so you can do some cool trick shots by having it bounce off walls and just stick to the enemy. So he has that grenade now. But now for Bastion's ultimate, instead of using the tank, since now the tank can get every like 12 seconds, his ultimate is a powerful mortar cannon type deal. You can fire 3 of them, you get 10 seconds to mark your locations, and it will work great when you're trying to fire upon like the payload or the point where everybody's standing, as long as they don't see it coming. But that's his ultimate now, so I feel like that should be pretty good for Bastion. It's going to be interesting to see how he works now, since obviously he can't heal himself. He's definitely got to rely on the healers to get to him when he starts to get pretty low, or to get to the heal pads. Now we're going to move on to tanks. The first tank we're going to talk about is Doomfist. Doomfist used to be damage, and now he's not. If I'm looking up, it's because I have all the notes that I'm looking at up here. Doomfist is now a tank. His health has increased to 450. His hand cannon has increased to once every 0.4 seconds, but his damage is reduced from 6 to 5 per pellet. Now you have the power block. The power block protects you from frontal attacks. I'm not really sure what Doomfist had before because he's somebody I never played as until this beta. But when you're blocking yourself from those frontal attacks, it makes the rocket punch even stronger. And the empowered rocket punch will travel faster, further, and deal increased damage. It kind of reminds me of this one character from Paladins. I forgot the name of him. It's been so long since I played that game, but you would essentially increase power from blocking everyone's damage. He had an uppercut ability that punched people up. That is no longer there. That was removed. And then he also has a seismic slam. It now launches you like Winston's leap on landing and deals damage and slows enemies. His ultimate meteor strike now adds a slow to all enemies hit, and the activation timer is reduced to 0.5 seconds. Now for Rinehardt, he was always my main tank that I would go to. Had a lot of fun playing him. Had a lot of fun trying to play an aggressive Rinehardt. He now has 2 charges for his fire strike projectile, and you can just do a rapid fire, or you can just wait and see where the enemies are. Or he has his charge attack. Charge attack, you can cancel out of it now, and it's a little bit more controllable. I remember Rinehardt was very stiff when you used his charge, where it was very hard to turn. You had to pretty much have a straight line to do it and get the enemy, but it's a little bit more controllable now with turning radius and Reinhardt's charge. One thing I did notice when looking at his shield, and I had to go look back because I could have swore he had more shield in the previous Overwatch. He did have like around 1600 shield, I believe, and now he has 1200. So they reduced his shield, which I found crazy just because, like I said, there's only one tank in the game now, so that shield means everything. Obviously it recharges, but he only has 1200 shield now instead of the 1600, so that's going to be interesting. Like I said, a lot of this is going to take getting used to using again. Next up for tank, we have Winston. Winston, not a big change. Everything else is pretty much the same, except now he has a secondary fire mode for his Tesla cannon. He can charge it up and release a focused bolt of energy. When I was doing it, I noticed it does only up to 20% of the ammo, or 20 ammo slots, so don't hold it longer than that because you're just going to be wasting time and pretty much putting your team at a disadvantage thinking it's doing a lot more damage. I don't think it does. I think it only does up to 20 shots in that one little fireball, so that's something to keep in mind. Now we have Zarya, again, another hero I never really played as. Played a couple games as her. She has her particle barrier and team targeted projectile barrier. They're now on a shared cooldown, so you can do them back to back, meaning she could either go back to back bubbles for herself to give her that extra barrier or shield against the enemy, or you can do 2 teammates at one time, giving them both a shield, and then just leave yourself vulnerable and hopefully survive that. But yeah, you can put the particle barrier on yourself twice in a row, or you can just do it to 2 teammates, which I like that. Can help the team out a lot, especially if someone's in a pickle and you need to give them a barrier to help them get out of there, or until the healer gets to them. So it's interesting to see how that'll work out as well. And now good old Orisa, I think that's how you pronounce her. That's how I've always said it. She is interesting. The biggest rework, in my opinion, for Overwatch 2. She does not have her protective barrier, her halt, or her supercharger. They removed those 3 completely. What you have now is also for her weapon, the gun, it now rapidly fires projectiles and they start large and shrink down. It uses a heat mechanic now instead of ammo reload, so you got to watch that heat mechanic, and then you'll go into a cooldown because you're overheated. Something else she has now is javelin spin. It spins this javelin and it pushes enemies, increases forward speed, so you're moving pretty fast when you're doing that javelin spin. Something else you have is an energy javelin that you just throw at the enemies, and it knocks them back, stuns them, and it's more effective if the enemy hits a wall. It does a little bit more damage. Her fortify was changed. The ability you use to basically give yourself armor. and also gains her 125 temporary health. You're slowed by 20% while active, and reduces heat generated from firing by 50% while active. So while it's active, you're not producing as much heat from your gun and can do a little bit more fire. You also have the Terra Surge, her new ultimate instead of the supercharger. In the Terra Surge, you're sweeping the enemies and anchoring them down, where it's pulling them in, and you can charge up, as you can see in the percentage will be going up, and then you're also having your protective barrier around you, and then you'll slam your thing down and do extra damage, but it pulls everybody in, which I found was actually pretty neat. It happened to me once, like when I first started. I'm like, holy crap, what was that? I didn't know what was happening, and I didn't know about any of these reworks. That's why I had to go do my research, and then I started working with them in the training just to see what it was all about. And then obviously you can release the energy surge early. Don't have to let it hit 100%. Does a lot more if you do let it hit 100% though, obviously, but pretty cool with Orisa. It's gonna, like I said, I'm not used to her not having her shield, but she's a complete rework, taking away her barrier, halt, and the supercharger. So it's very interesting. Something I like to do with the javelin spin is you can actually knock enemies off the map by pushing them, and then you're gonna want to also be able to combine abilities with any of these characters that have new abilities. With Orisa specifically, if you're using your javelin spin, you're gonna also want to activate your fortify, so you have that extra health, that extra shielding, while you're pushing the enemies away and using that spin. But that is all the reworks that I have saw so far in this beta. There might be more that I'm missing. The game looks beautiful with the new lighting and everything. So far I'm enjoying the beta. It's a lot of fun, and I hope there's going to be more chances to get beta keys. Just check out Overwatch on Twitch, and I'm always retweeting stuff as well, so be sure to check out my socials, Discord and Twitter, and all that in the description below. I'm always tweeting stuff about Overwatch or games that I'm interested in. But like I said, it's going to take a lot getting used to with the new 5v5 mode, or just 5v5 mechanic. It's not really a mode, it's the new way, so it's going to be interesting. Curious if they'll I think they're going to be keeping it permanently. I don't think anyone minds it. I don't mind it. Like I said, it's just going to take getting used to, but can't wait till it comes out, everything is polished and comes out, and you can start doing competitive on this, because when the beta ends, it's going to be hard going back to Overwatch 1 and playing the heroes and be like, wait, why is this not happening? Why am I doing something different? And it's just because it's no longer there, because the rework's not in the main Overwatch game yet. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, always leave a comment down below. And until next time, and like and subscribe and comment if you like the content. But until next time, remember to change that world one smile at a time. You never know whose life you can save or change. And as always, I can't wait to see you in the next video or live stream. Love you guys.